So let's start. Prime Minister Kallas, the floor is yours.
Dear Denise, dear journalists, it's really a great pleasure to welcome you here finally in Tallinn. We have been discussing about this trip for a long time, and I've been to Ukraine, but you haven't been here, so it's really a pleasure to have you here. And as I said, the winter might be cold, but we have warm hearts. Estonia's support to Ukraine is unwavering. We believe in Ukraine's victory. We believe in Ukraine, which is a country with a liberal democracy and a free market economy, and which will become a member of the European Union as well as NATO. In December 2024, we made a historic decision in the European Union to open accession negotiations with Ukraine. I've been a strong advocate for Ukraine at the European Council table. Now that Ukraine has met all the criteria, we need to start the accession talks as soon as possible. Estonia is also ready to help Ukraine with our European Union joining experience and share our knowledge on this way. I also want to reaffirm that Estonia's support to Ukraine on your path towards NATO membership remains steadfast. Since the beginning of Russia's full-scale war of aggression, we have been witnessing Ukraine's bravery and resilience every day more than 2 years already. For Ukraine's victory, our support for Ukraine must continue. We must continue to support Ukraine for as long as necessary, and equally important in the extent that is necessary. We must act now. We have no time to waste. The security of the free world is at stake. And this outcome of the war is essential for Ukraine, but also for the whole Europe and transatlantic security. We need to be brutally honest with ourselves, and we have to do more. Long-term commitments are important, but it's also the fact of war that the one who has more ammunition will win. The free world must act immediately to provide Ukraine with the necessary weapons and ammunition. Ukraine needs urgent and swift deliveries and increased support. Estonia has recently given another military aid package of 20 million euros to Ukraine, which includes ammunition. This takes our support to Ukraine already this year alone to over 100 million euros, which is 0.25 of our GDP, just like we have promised. I keep raising this with our allies and partners. If everybody committed at least 0.25% of their GDP to Ukraine's military assistance in the coming years, we would outweigh Russia. Estonia has also taken a long-term commitment to help to build up your country and give humanitarian assistance. We will continue with the reconstruction and in the education and social spheres with the focus on Žõtomõr region. Just recently, we opened our first honorary consulate there to contribute even more. And also pleased to see that there is a great interest in the Estonian companies to contribute to Ukraine's reconstruction. We lead the way in showing the others that reconstruction can already start when the war is still going on, and that reconstruction can go hand in hand with the digital cooperation. Russian aggression has shown how cyber attacks are now fully integrated into conventional warfare. Estonia will continue to help increase Ukraine's resilience in cyber domain, both in military and civilian sector. We still need to isolate Russia and continue with sanctions. Russia must also compensate the damage caused to Ukraine. I'm glad to see that European Union, we are moving forward with the proposal to use the profits from those freezed or immobilized assets. But it's only the first step. It is crucial to find a way to start using these assets as well, because it's not for our taxpayers to compensate what our countries haven't caused. The damage are caused by Russia. And we also need accountability, a special tribunal for the crime of aggression against Ukraine with the broadest cross-regional support and legitimacy must be established. Also, hopes for a quick win are traps that we must not fall into. Russia would only use this to gather its strength to attack even more fiercely. We all want to live in peace. I don't know one single person in Ukraine who is for war, but we want this war to be this peace to be sustainable. Estonia supports and actively participates in President Zelensky's peace plan, which focuses on the territorial integrity and justice for Ukraine. So there's a lot of work still to be done, and I'm really happy that we have the chance to discuss today, and I'm really happy that I have the chance to welcome you here in Estonia. Dear Dennis, thank you.
Thank you. And now, please, Prime Minister Esmakhal.
Thank you very much. Dear Madam Prime Minister, dear Kaya, dear ladies and gentlemen, I am sincerely grateful for the invitation of my real friend, Kaja Kallas, to visit Tallinn. It is my first official visit here, and it's a great pleasure and honor for me to have this negotiation, this very fruitful conversation with friends. Ukraine greatly values the close cooperation and friendship between our countries, like the recent visit of President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. My visit to Estonia is first and foremost a visit of gratitude to your nation, to your people, to your country, to your government. Gratitude for the comprehensive support and assistance to our country in the fight against the Russian aggression. Today, Estonia is one of the leading donors of defense and humanitarian aid to Ukraine per capita. To date, Ukraine has received more than 520 million euros in defense assistance, which is about 1.4% of Estonia's GDP. We are grateful for the recent 18th military assistance package, which included urgently needs 155mm artillery shells. We particularly appreciate that Estonia's support is becoming a long-term commitment. The Estonian government has developed the strategy for Ukraine's victory, which foresees annual defense assistance to Ukraine of 0.25% of GDP for the next 4 years. I am also grateful to Estonia for other initiatives to strengthen Ukraine's defense. First of all, it is about the creation of an IT coalition led by Estonia. This is a fairly new format of our cooperation where we already have more than 10 participants. IT coalition is about cooperation in data processing, communications, IT infrastructure, and cybersecurity. All this is necessary for the security and defense forces of Ukraine to increase the effectiveness of their interaction and to better fight our enemy. Thanks to Estonian leadership, the artillery coalition was created, which gave impetus to joint direct procurement of weapons and ammunition for the armed forces of Ukraine at the EU level. The Tallinn mechanism for cyber support to Ukraine has been established, which is particularly important in the context of the growing number of Russian cyber attacks. Ukraine has also joined the NATO Cooperative Cyber Defense Center of Excellence in Tallinn. Indeed, it is crucial for us to have an advantage over the enemy in the field of modern technologies. I would also like to thank the Estonian side for its active practical support for President Volodymyr Zelensky's peace formula. Recently, Estonia agreed to co-lead points 5 of the formula, implementation of the UN Charter and restoration of Ukraine's territorial integrity. This is a very important support for us. Another track on which Estonia plays a leading role is Ukraine's Euro-Atlantic integration. Our Estonian friends are well aware of the connection between Ukraine's security and Estonia's security. Because of the Russian imperialism, this connection is inseparable. As for our European integration, we expect to start negotiations on our accession to the EU in the coming months. I am confident that Estonia is our reliable partner in this matter. We also count on Estonia's support in regard with the decision to continue autonomous trade liberalization measures. Duty-free trade will benefit not only Ukrainian but also European companies, which export goods and services to Ukraine, which are worth tens of billions of dollars. Another strategic objective is the further development of transport logistics. In particular, we see great potential in Ukraine's participations in the Rail Baltica logistics project. This will open up new opportunities for our export and create another pillar for the Ukrainian economy and our mutual benefits and economies. Today, we also discussed in detail the mechanism for compensating Ukraine for the damage caused by Russia. There is no doubt that the damage should be compensated from the frozen Russian assets. Estonia has already finalized a compensation mechanism that will allow us to use Russian funds for Ukraine's needs. We look forward to its final approval. We also expect other European countries and the EU as a whole to approve such a mechanism where frozen Russian funds work for the victory and restoration of our country. Another important issue is sanctions. We need to restrict Russia's access to all modern technologies, cut off the funds that finance the war, and tighten controls on weapons, their components and dual-use goods. It is also time to sanction agricultural products from Russia and Belarus. This is a fundamental issue for both Ukraine and the EU. Last but not least, Estonia is becoming one of our key partners in Ukraine's recovery. Your country was the first to take patronage on a separate region of Ukraine, the Zhytomyr region, and we can already see the results: a kindergarten in Ovruch, a bridge in Malin, and other facilities that have been rebuilt. Thank you for this, and we really appreciate this. Such projects create the conditions for Ukrainians to return home and set an example for the other to follow. Dear Kaya, Prime Minister, dear colleagues, journalists, today Ukraine and Estonia have an extraordinary partnership. We have prospects in many different areas. There are many joint projects. But most importantly, we have a common vision of the future and a common main task: to stop the Putin's regime, defeat the Russian aggressor, and establish a just peace in Europe. I am confident that together we will achieve this goal. We will achieve our mutual win, our mutual victory. Thank you so much, my dear friend. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you. And now it's time for questions. If you ask, please say your name, state your media outlet, and also say to whom the question is directed.
Thank you. Tarmo Maiberg, Public Broadcasting. Two questions to Prime Minister of Ukraine. Let's start with last year long-awaited and much talked about counterattack did not fulfill its expectations for several reasons. Will Ukraine start the counteroffensive this summer, and have you learned from last year's mistakes? And could you give your assessment at what condition is Ukraine in the fall, let's say around September, when the possible offensive is over? And also would like to hear your comments about French idea, what France's Crown Army Chief of Staff, General Pierre Schilst, said that France could engage a division of 20,000 troops in a coalition within 30 days. Have you considered that? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I should answer that we learned lessons. So we were very open last year, and Russians know our plans, because we were very public about this counteroffensive. First reason, we were waiting for 6 months for supplying of weaponry and equipment and ammunition into Ukraine. We were preparing this counteroffensive by all the world. Everyone knows details of this counteroffensive, points of the main offensive. So Russians have time, have about 6 months to prepare very carefully for this counteroffensive, and it's naturally that this counteroffensive have this success which we all were waiting for. So now lessons learned, and we will not open our plans about strategy for this year. We have a strategy, we have plan A, plan B, we are work hard. Now, unfortunately, we have lack of ammunition. We have a gap for artillery munition supplying. We appreciate Czech initiative, which were initiated by Estonia too, and we hope that in April we will have first supplying of artillery munition for our defense forces, and it will let us to stabilize at all front line to deter Russian aggression and begin implementation all of our plans. But I should emphasize that since the beginning of the Russian aggression, full-scale aggression, I mean, we liberate 50% of our territories, and it's important data numbers. We liberate Black Sea, and now we can use Black Sea corridor for export of our goods, and not only the grain, but all the goods, and more than 30 million tons of different goods, grain, food, and other goods from Ukraine are exported during the last 6 months, and we continue liberation of Black Sea, having now our own fleet in the Black Sea. But we have our drones, we have support from our partners, long and middle range equipment which we use for liberation Black Sea and our territories, and we ask for more of this kind of equipment. And second part, French initiative. So we have no details, and we ask about this from our partners. We are ready to discuss any possibility to cooperate with partners. Now we understand that as Estonia support us with training of our soldiers, our personnel, as Estonia support us with treatment of our soldiers, injured soldiers, and we are very grateful for this. So other countries, including France, are training our soldiers, and if we will have instructors in Ukraine, it will be faster, it will be closer, it will be more coordinated with Ukrainian defense forces in such kind of trainings, because this is very coordinated activity. We have very practical experience how this war, modern war on the ground is going on, and we also can share our practical experience with European instructors, not only from France. So we invite instructors from all the Europe, and we will be very glad if France implements their promises to send their instructors on Ukrainian training polygons.
Thank you. Who's next?
Good afternoon, Herman Kelamees from Delphi. Question to both Prime Ministers. It's the 75th birthday of NATO tomorrow, and I'd like to ask both of you about the Washington summit that is 3 months away. What would be a fair result for Ukraine? Would that include an invitation to NATO?
We work hard to implement our homework for NATO implementation, so for NATO joining. So we implement all the reforms, we implement standard of NATO. In fact, our army now is fighting according to NATO standards with NATO weaponry and equipment. Our soldiers use NATO standards on daily practice. So we count that we will have invitation on Washington summit, and we work to have this with our partners, and Estonia is our biggest advocate. So we hope that we will go through this way, and in Washington we'll have a good news.
Yes, as Prime Minister Shmal said, we are definitely working for Ukraine's path to NATO, and the problem is we have to have all the allies, we have to have decision by everybody. Everybody has to be on board, and therefore the discussions have to be ongoing how to really solve this issue so that we move again, a step further to Ukraine's joining NATO.
Thank you. The next question, please.
Hello, Angelina Lan from Õhtuleht, and my question is also for Mr. Šmihal. Millions of Ukrainian refugees are living in Europe right now, but Ukrainian officials have repeatedly stated that in order to rebuild your country, people need to come home. But I know for a fact that some of them want that, but they don't have a home anymore, as it was destroyed by Russia. What do you plan to do to support those people in their returning to their homeland?
Thank you for your question. And first of all, let me sincerely gratitude to Estonia for hosting our refugees, mostly women and children. Thank you so much for this. I know that this makes many Ukrainian and Estonian families much more closer. It makes much closer our societies, and we really appreciate this, and we will never forget this. It's about real friendship. According to our constitution, such like any constitutions all around the world, every citizen of Ukraine have one very important obligation to protect its homeland. So we are waiting for the men which should bring back to Ukraine, and we have very good example when during the first 2 weeks 200,000 men comes back into Ukraine despite the beginning of the war. So millions of refugees flew out from Ukraine, and hundreds of thousands bring back to Ukraine to protect their own country. They leave European countries, leave homes, their jobs, and come into Ukraine. So now we invite our citizens, which could be mobilized, which could sign the contract with defense forces, to come back into Ukraine and to protect their country, or to work for the budget of Ukraine, to fulfill the Ukrainian budget, to have capacity finance our defense from Russian aggression. So what are we implementing and what are we doing? From our side as a government, we implement some programs. This is a program e-work, so electronic program, when you may have a grant from state to launch your micro or small and medium business, having grant from the state in different sizes. We also launch our programs e-home, when you can have money for repairing of your house if it's damaged, or you can have certificate to buy a new house or new flat if it's destroyed at all. So these mechanisms works. Thousands and even dozens of thousands of people now use these mechanisms. It works absolutely clearly without any bureaucracy. It's electronic instruments, digitalized at all. So, and other instruments we implemented to support our people. We pay some money internally displaced persons to support them. But in any way, we understand that we may give people possibility to create their businesses, to find a job. We need many specialists and technicians and engineers in our defense industry, because now we have many contracts from the state and develop this direction. And actually, we have 6 contracts between Estonian and Ukrainian companies for develop mutual production and mutual technological development between our countries and our companies. So there are possibilities, and we create new, and we invite people to come back to Ukraine. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And time for one last question.
Good afternoon, Sander Terras from TV3. What is the one thing you say that Ukraine needs right now the most on its battle for freedom, and is this something that Estonia can help you with?
Sorry, Ukraine is now?
Yeah, what is the one thing you'd say that Ukraine needs right now the most on its battle for freedom? Is it ammunition? Is it, I don't know, fighters?
Okay, what we need the most. So I think that number one priority is air defense missiles. Equipment and missiles, because we have lack of missiles for air defense. We have lack of this equipment to protect our cities, to protect our energy grid and energy production capacities. The second priority is munition for artillery, and Czech initiative, Estonian initiative is very good for us, and we hope that we will have enough of this artillery munition beginning in this month. So all the rest is on its way. So, and we work hard to have all the rest what we need. Now we also discuss with Madam Prime Minister needs for our energy system support, and we ask Estonia actually to find a solution if there are some old Soviet kind and format electricity equipment. We would be grateful if we will have possibility to take it into Ukraine to repair destroyed by Russians energy facilities. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's it. The press conference for this time is over.
Thank you.
Thank you.